Welcome to Nerds Geeks in the Kitchen Sink. It's the podcast that's like hanging out at the video store. I'm one of your hosts, DK.
I'm Chris, your other host.
Improve if you feel like it. Hey, it's our last episode of 2024.
Right.
Now, uh,
I don't want any tears. We will be back.
I do want to do kind of like a 2024 in review,
Yeah.
but we won't. We'll do that next year.
Right. Right. Right.
Let's put that off till next year.
Right. Right.
I didn't prepare for that. We have a lot of other things to talk about.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of things going on right now, which I didn't really expect at this time of the year. But hey, it's cool. But first, Chris, what have you been watching? What have you been up to? What's going on?
Watched a lot of the newer stuff that just came out this last week. Creature Commandos, which we're gonna get into.
Yep.
Skeleton Crew, which we'll both get into.
All right.
Other than that, I've just been reading a lot of comics.
Oh,
So
interesting. Interesting. I wonder if we'll talk about that.
yeah. So
All right.
and I did a huge finals type study on a bunch of comics last night, so
Sure.
I'm good and fresh, ready to go.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we will be discussing those comics. The
Yes,
first little batch of the Absolute series from
right,
DC.
right,
I won't give any thoughts yet. We'll get there when we get there.
right.
So okay, but you haven't seen any movies or anything else that you want to
No, I
cover?
haven't really had a lot of time. Getting ready to set up my new computer system.
Oh
So
yeah,
next year we may have a couple little extra things we do. So I don't have a laptop that'll die if I try to do any more than
yeah.
the recordings we already do. So
it's limping along, but
yes.
hey, it's getting the job done.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I guess I can go. I've watched a few movies.
Okay.
Um, I guess I'll start with this Village of the Damned, the John Carpenter one.
Right.
Um, have you seen it recently or ever?
I've seen it before, but I haven't seen it recently.
Yeah. It it's got Christopher Reeve, of course, which is
Hmm.
awesome. I watched it last night and that movie gets a lot of hate, but I think it's all right. I don't think it's like mind-blowingly good, but like
Right.
if you haven't seen Village of the Damned or it's been a while, I think maybe it got hated on a little too much.
Right.
I think it was like a fun watch and it's like 90 minutes or something. It's like, yeah, an
I
easy
think
watch.
yeah, it's one of those movies that I think like going back at it and watching it again kind of and seeing like what we've gotten recently
Hmm.
kind of makes it seem a lot better.
Time
It's
has been
kind
kind to Village of the
it's
Damned.
kind of like the prequels
Yeah,
of
I see
Star
what you mean.
Wars.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And yeah, there's some wonky effects and all that, but really they're not too bad.
Right.
And it's about a brood of weird children who are all born. I like the hook of everyone passes out for like 8 hours and then wakes up and then oh no, these women are pregnant all of a sudden, like from the
Right.
same time. Like it's and like there's also the thing, and I wish it went on a little longer actually, but there's the thing of if you go past this line, you pass out. And like you
Yeah.
can't go into the town. Like what's going on? It's kind of like a Stephen King. It feels a
Right.
little bit like a Stephen King
Yeah.
story, but it predates him for sure.
Mhm.
Anyway, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's worth checking out. It's on Shutter right now.
Right.
If it's a gap in your Carpenter history, it's worth checking out. I think really though, and this is sad because it's Carpenter, but the biggest problem I have with it is the score. The
Yeah.
score is real weak. It's really weak. Um, I don't know if it's just because there's so much setup where things are nice and good, and
Hmm.
it's just like guitar noodling, but it doesn't even sound like a real guitar. Like it sounds like a synth guitar. It
Right.
just sounds. It couldn't sound cheaper to me. It sounds cheap. It doesn't have like interesting melodic hook.
Right.
When his scores are what they are in general, this being what it is really sad
Yeah.
compared to what it could be. So,
Now, I do have to, since you said Christopher Reeves, that made me think of something I did watch,
mm.
which was the Superman documentary
Did
on
that come
Christopher
out? I didn't know it
Reeves.
was out.
I paid for it.
Oh, okay.
So it comes out this week, I think, or right at the first of next week on
Okay.
Max.
I want to see that
And
for sure.
it is definitely, you know, I don't get a little dust in my eye on mini movies.
Yeah, but that one I'm sure it
This
would.
one is, yeah.
I'm sure it would do it to me too.
It's a if you're into any kind of documentary on people's lives, and especially such an iconic actor
Yeah,
as Christopher Reeves, and it's a 10 out of 5. I
yeah.
mean,
He
so
for sure for me. I mean, I get a little dust in my eye like when I watch Superman, like the original movie.
right,
I can't. I don't know what it is. It's just a childhood hero for me, and like that's a movie I watched so much.
right,
And so yeah, that would definitely. I'm sure. And I was there for when he had his accident and all that, and
right,
yeah, it's a rough story. So
right,
I want to watch it, but I know what's going to happen.
right.
The
And
floodgates.
yeah, like I said, that'll be soon. It'll come out real soon
I think
as
it's
the
going to be on
time of this
HBO.
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be on Max.
Yep.
But just to kind of bring it to modern, that what that seeing that documentary and going back and watching the Christopher Reeves movies, the majority of them, Star Wars or Superman
Oh,
movies.
he's in Star Wars. Sweet.
Yeah, he was a stormtrooper in one of them.
He's too
Yeah.
tall to be a stormtrooper.
Well,
Aren't you a little tall to be a
maybe
stormtrooper?
yeah, exactly.
And then it goes
Um
over and it goes.
yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
God damn it. I love Superman.
I know. Anyway, it just makes James Gunn's Superman have to be that much better.
I hope so. I hope it is.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
Mhm.
going to be, especially with this kind of timeline and the documentary and, people kind of revisiting the original Superman movies
Sure.
makes it so much more important for him to get this right.
Absolutely agree.
So,
Absolutely agree.
for the most
Cool.
part, I have faith in Gunn's ability to do it because
Yeah.
I know how much of a fan he actually is
We know he
of.
gets it, but will it come out right? We don't know.
Well, and the thing is, though, and I hate this. This is something, and this isn't. And this is actually, like what? How do I was it? Praising Gunn and the people of his ilk. There's a mentality in Hollywood of writers and creators that there's a great divide between the quote unquote professionals and fandom.
Yeah, well, he's both.
He is both, and he is what makes it right. And the thing is you don't have to be necessarily a fan of a particular IP, but look at Lucas when he did Star Wars. He was a fan of the spaghetti westerns. He was a big fan of Kurosawa.
Yep.
He was a big fan of Dune.
Clearly.
I mean, there's so many things that he is a fan of that knows the story. Nowadays, these studios are hiring people that they don't want them to know anything about the IP they're writing. And a lot of these writers have no real life experience outside of. And, for somebody that's in the realm that I've heard specifically, and I kind of got a little bit of a tiff back and forth with them on a different podcast on YouTube, that I'm sorry, there should be a consideration by these writers of the fans
Sure, yeah.
of what the IP is.
Totally.
And I was basically told that, and it's somebody pretty prominent, and I was basically told that no, the fans should have nothing to do with how an IP is made.
Well, we learned that lesson with Star Wars. So,
Right.
you know.
But the thing is I'm getting, I got the feeling that they still aren't learning their lesson. Most of these people.
Well, hopefully it changes and the
So,
good
right.
stuff is good.
And like I said, with Gunn and certain other creators, and, I think in different genres, there's those guys that are the fan, the Damian Leone, the Robert Eggers,
Hmm.
just to name a couple in horror,
We can't even
you
talk
know,
about Nosferatu right now
not
because
yet. No, that'll
I
be a
will
first. That will be day one when we come back. I'm
I
telling
will
you now.
explode out of my chair if I even start thinking about it. I
Right,
cannot
right.
wait for
But I'm saying
Nosferatu
that's,
so much.
that's why I'm saying it's so important for Gunn to get Superman right because of one, just the fact that it's hitting in that era of nostalgia, should we say, of the
Sure.
Superman,
For me,
the
it will.
original,
Yeah.
right? And then just the current environment in Hollywood.
Mhm.
So he needs to hit it on the park for both. Do something new. That's fine, but honor what has been laid before you
Sure.
and what you have decades upon decades
Well,
of the character.
along those lines, let me tell you about the other movie I
Go
watched.
for it. I'm done ranting.
Okay. Movies that of a certain type. So, are you familiar at all with the Primevals?
A little bit.
Okay. It was first conceived, I believe, sometime in the 70s
Right.
as a stop motion animation adventure, which already in the 70s that genre was headed out, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Uh
Clash of the Titans, I think, was the real kind of last big one.
yeah, right? I mean, yeah. So this movie was supposedly going to I don't have all the exact details, but it was going to come out in the 90s.
Okay.
And it was filmed in 92 or 3 or something like that. And again, I have some of these dates a little wrong, but this is generally what the idea is. It was filmed in the early 90s,
Hmm.
originally going to come out in the late 90s because there was a lengthy post-production because of all the stop motion and all
Right.
that stuff.
Right.
But the guy who directed it and was doing the effects passed away. And so they were just sitting on all this footage for many, many years. Full Moon has it.
Right.
Um, well, they announced something like, I don't know, I want to say like 2018 or something that it was going to finally going to come out.
Right.
And just now, the Primevals is here.
Okay.
It's on Shutter. It is like a claymation animation throwback. I don't know if
Okay.
we'll get. It would be very hard to be this faithful to those old school
Right.
adventure movies. Journey to the Center of the Earth or whatever those.
Right.
A lot of like things like that with these claymation creatures, even your King Kongs. I mean, for
Yeah.
example. But this is the smoothest, best looking claymation I've ever seen.
Really.
I mean, it really is. The dude was a master. A lot of it is helped by digital, I'm sure. There are
Well,
some
yeah.
clear digital effects in this film, but it does feel so authentic because it is. And is it the best movie ever? No, it's like that's the thing though. It nails the kind of Saturday afternoon.
The nostalgia.
Yeah, there's something about it that just nails it. The poster alone is it's amazing. Uh, just to
Let's
give
say,
you
do
a,
you have
I have it
any
here.
experience?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me see here.
Okay. Now, is this a strictly all claymation or is
No, no,
this
no.
mixed of,
It is a live
okay.
action film.
Okay. I think I've heard about this, the revisited of this.
Check that out.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah. That's,
There's these little guys running around and they're claymation, and there's a big old King Kong kind of guy running around.
right.
There's all kinds of stuff. There's these other like Planet of the Apes style, just like ape people as well
Yeah.
that fight with these guys. And there's an aspect of aliens being involved. You can see the spaceships there. There's also an aspect of it's like kind of like King. There's like they go to the Himalayas and then they
Right.
find these. I'm spoiling the whole thing, but it's like it really doesn't
I
matter.
was going to say,
They find these like man-made structures they think, and then they go through and they're all of a sudden they're in this undiscoverable place where the biome is different and the life is
right.
different. And yeah, it's like its own evolutionary place. It's the acting is not amazing, but that like kind of helps
Right.
it. It's
Yeah. It
I
gives it back to that land of the lost kind of
it's just like that.
acting.
It's
Yeah.
so much like Land of the Lost. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did hear about this. It's been a few years, but shout out to Film Threat. that they had put this out, that
Oh,
it
okay, they
was
covered it.
coming. Yeah, they covered it. So, but it's been a while. It was when the initial, we're coming out with it soon. So
It
it's
was
been a
years
few years.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can definitely recommend this to you. It is.
I will watch it. And you
I'm.
said it's on Shutter,
It's on
right?
Shutter now.
Okay.
And again, it's not good, but it is such a neat throwback, and it's so authentic, and it just really it worked. It worked for me, and I watched it with a group, and we had a blast.
It's in Jason and the Argonauts, Sinbad and the Seven Seas.
100%. It's
Yes.
like all of those.
I'll
Yeah.
be, it's that for us, the Channel 11
Yes.
KPLR Sunday afternoon movies.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm all in.
Exactly.
I am all in.
Yeah. I think you will be able to at least appreciate it, even if you don't love it. I know you'll appreciate.
Yeah.
It's fun, and the design is so great of these claymation creatures, and yeah, the story is batshit. I mean, truly,
You gotta love it though sometimes when they're
yeah.
just out there, out there.
There's a scene when they're, and again, I'm just spoiling things, but there's a scene when there's a character who is just making these insane assumptions about what maybe happened and where
Right,
they are,
right.
and so everything you learn is just, well, this is what it might be. This is what this one character just randomly thought of. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but there's never like a really an explanation.
Right,
It's very fun. I
right,
maybe am pushing it a little too hard, but I did enjoy it. It was really fun.
right.
So it's stupid, but
I
I
mean,
really
something does not have to be, Oscar worthy to be fun. So, I
no.
mean,
It's the first 5 minutes you're gonna go,
yeah,
oh God.
maybe Razzie worthy would be is fun. There's
I would
plenty of
never.
Razzies.
I would never give it a Raz. I would never. But there is a character called Rondo Montana.
Oh, nice.
It's very good. He's definitely not Indiana Jones.
Right, right, right,
He's
right.
Rondo Montana.
I pretty much can envision what he looks like from a 90s perspective, 80s, 90s filming
Yep.
that
He
his
leads
main. Right.
he leads expeditions.
Yep.
You know exactly what he looks
Oh, yeah.
like. Anyway, yeah, I did enjoy that, and I would watch it again. It's
I'll have to watch that this
so
week, this
stupid.
coming week.
Yep, it was
So,
fun. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I did read the second issue of the new Blade.
okay.
I am unfortunately I'm gonna finish it. I think I'm gonna stick with it for now,
Right.
but it just seems like they don't know what to do with Blade.
How hard is it?
I
How
know.
fucking hard is it to write a Blade comic, Blade story?
I'm not telling you that it's the worst thing I've ever read, but so far there has been very little anything going on. It's yeah, mainly setting up other characters and like why can't we focus on Blade, please?
And that's just it. It's you want Blade in a Blade comic, and
Yeah,
not as somebody just kind of, as the boogeyman kind of. You want him
he's
doing
good
this
for
shit.
that.
I
Sure,
mean,
he's
yeah,
good for the boogeyman thing. Sure, you can call him in to solve a problem. Like
right,
I would like him as a cameo, like in an Avengers thing. Great,
right.
but he
In
really
his
needs
own
better.
title, he needs to be
And I will agree that the setup itself is it has promise, but we
right.
need to get there.
I was saying, yeah.
It
When
needs to
you
get
take
there.
too long on stuff, we'll get into a couple of gripes I have
Sure.
shortly on some comics.
Okay.
So
I'm looking forward to this because I wonder how we're going to come down on I'm
okay,
actually most concerned about a specific one of those three.
okay.
But anyway, um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I needed to tell you about. Do you want to do the comics first or the TV stuff? Let's do the
Well,
comics.
let's do the comics. Yeah.
Okay, let's do the comic stuff first. So,
Okay.
listeners probably are aware that the new DC line is the Absolute line.
Okay. Before we get into that,
Go on.
I want to just let's let's talk about this
Yes,
first.
yes, yes, yes.
This is freaking amazing.
I've
The
talked about it on
art
the show
is,
before,
yes, we've
but
talked about it. The art is fantastic. I mean,
for
just
listeners, if you're not watching, it's Canary, the
okay.
Scott Snyder
Yes.
story.
Let me just put this page alone.
It's incredible. The red sky.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Uh, the art is really, really good,
The
and
story was really good.
yeah,
The dialogue was just enough. It wasn't over dialogue heavy.
yeah, I agree.
The concept is phenomenal.
I really liked it.
The payoff at the end was really great. I'm
Yeah,
not going to spoil any of it.
what an ending it has. I really, really like it. I would love to see it as a show or even a film.
And they kind of did it right with like some of you know how I am with westerns.
For sure,
The quote unquote marshal is more of like what they would call a Pinkerton.
for sure. Yeah,
So the hat, and he didn't get, they didn't give him the big old Western style cattleman's hat. They gave
yeah.
him more of like a Pinkerton hat,
And his
especially
bandana,
with his bandana and with
that's cool
the
as
suit
hell.
they made for him. You know, when they did the research on how they wanted to do the character, they did a hell of a job.
Absolutely.
You
It's
know,
so hard to beat that one.
yeah,
And I
and
love the villain.
yeah, yeah, and you didn't see that coming at the
Really.
end, especially at the
Man,
end.
it's so good. That's really good. Maybe my only complaint would be I would like to see like more scenes with the villain. There's a reason why you wouldn't,
Right,
and I understand
right,
that. And it works in the story. It really does. It
yeah.
works perfectly as a graphic novel, but if you were gonna make it a movie or something, you'd probably have to change. I would think you'd have to change that a little bit.
I
But I
mean,
know you could figure it out.
not giving anything away. I would have a big transformation to get to the ending, and the villain be part of in the story throughout the story beforehand.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure, I think so. Yeah.
I'm trying not to give it away.
Yeah,
So it's like,
we definitely people should read Canary, Scott
yes,
Snyder.
absolutely.
I saw it in the comic shop, and I had been reading a bunch of Scott Snyder stuff already, and we'll actually be talking about more Snyder later.
Right,
But
right.
I saw the cover, and I didn't honestly. I don't like the cover. I think the cover's not
No,
good.
yeah, and it gives no that shot that I showed with him in the silhouette with
Yep,
the gun and the bandana, that should have been the cover.
something much better than what you got. I
Right.
just don't really get that cover, and I know
Yeah.
there are alternate covers that they did for when it came out as individual issues. I guess
Mhm.
that would have been way better, but
Yeah.
didn't do it. So
Right.
anyway, don't let that cover hold you back.
No.
Canary, very, very good. I
No,
highly
absolutely,
recommend.
100%.
And it's not this not exactly new, but man, I hope
No.
people know about it. I hope people get to that one. Boy, who was the publisher?
Let me look.
Is that Image?
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse. Okay, I was kind of close.
Yep.
Yeah, Dark Horse killing it there. Letting a project like that happen.
Right.
Very good. All right. Well, anyway, Canary, we both loved it. We can't
Yes.
recommend it enough.
It's
One of the best
100%
things
recommend. Yeah.
one of the best things I read this year. Like
Right.
hands down, one of the
Yes.
best. Okay. So, Canary out of the way.
Yep.
Let's get into these DC
Okay.
absolute lines. Now I think we will be spoiling them just flat out. So,
Right.
if you don't want to know anything about them, if you're still need to pick them up, pick them up. But yeah, so
Okay. Yes.
we have read Absolute Batman 1 and 2. We've read Wonder Woman 1 and 2, and we've read Superman 1. I think Superman 2
Yes.
came out this week, and I haven't picked it up yet.
Right. Right. Right.
So, all right. I think the first one to come out and launch it all was Absolute Batman. So maybe we
Right.
should start there.
So let's start with Batman.
Yeah.
So I've got the 1 and 2 here.
Yeah.
So these are your covers.
Yeah. Um, which I thought that was Ra's al Ghul, but it is not.
No, it is not.
It is a neat. Oh, maybe we should describe this first. Maybe this will lead us into that. But
Yeah.
so what this Absolute line is a reimagining of the DC universe, essentially. It's a relaunch in its own way of basically. I mean, would you count this as Elseworlds? I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely Elseworlds
Yeah.
because this isn't anywhere near the regular universe. And
Yeah.
I
And
don't
I
think this is a like a new 52 type of thing.
no
So
no. I think if it was people, there would have been.
way more backlash.
Yeah, I think so. But because it's not, and because the whole idea is like, hey, this is for fun, but it is still a big event.
Right.
I think that's smart because it really is like look, we know you know about these characters. We know you know. What we're
Right.
doing is playing with this in a way to make these interesting again. Like it's a tough sell to get me to want to pick up a new Batman comic or a new Superman comic. You know, it's let alone Wonder Woman. I haven't read a
Right.
lot of Wonder Woman even, so
Yeah.
it's tough. This I think is a smart way to do it. Let's start with the Batman though.
Okay.
Basically, this Batman supposedly has no money and has to work for everything, and he's not, you know, he doesn't have billionaire parents or whatever.
Right.
My number one thing right out of the gate is like he does seem to have a lot of money.
I was gonna say, and they haven't really explained. He just has it kind of under the table, but they've really never explained how he's gotten that under the table.
Yeah, what's going on? Well, you know, and
So
it's they tell you in the story that he has worked all over the city. He has had all these jobs and like probably high paying jobs, but I mean, he wouldn't be a millionaire. And some of the
no.
stuff that he has, the second issue, the final page made me so mad.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
wasn't
he,
honestly. I liked, not loved the first issue. I've got
I
plenty of
agree.
problems. Second issue, I think it's just there's way too much dialogue, way too much
I
dialogue,
think
and
we're
not
bogged down with too many
close.
characters.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't mind the dialogue, but yeah, it's like this is Batman. Like he needs to do. I guess he fights those people at the zoo and he burns their toes off. I did like that. I don't mind him being a little bit more violent. I mean, that's fine.
yeah,
And we should say that this Batman is like a huge hulking man.
right. And some of the shots of the things that he was able to do at that size.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of Batman's feats are absolutely ridiculous, but for the most part, they've drawn him to scale him to be able to do those feats.
Like Bane, he's like Bane sized.
Right.
Like a
There's
regular
no
guy.
way in hell some of the things that he did in this absolute Batman, he would be able to even do just because of his freaking size.
He looks like he weighs like 275. I mean, he's
Oh, yeah,
huge.
easily, easily. He's like a defensive end on an NFL team
Yeah, but he's also flying around the city and you
and
know,
doing like Jet Li kicks, you know?
yes. Yeah. He's still agile as hell, but he is huge.
Yeah.
I like the cape thing with the it has like the bat
Where
style
it's
like
split.
bones in it
Right.
almost
Well,
like
yeah.
where he can use them to do stuff like he pries open the elevator
Well,
doors
if you remember like the bat suit from what was it? The first Batman? Remember that
the Keaton Batman.
the Christian Bale Batman.
Oh,
First
okay.
one
You mean Batman Begins
begins, yeah.
when he can extend the thing and
Right,
it
with the
like charges
electronic,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I would charge it. It kind of gave me those feels,
he's
but
using it
it's
for
more of a
spelunking.
split, yeah.
He's gonna encounter some gunfire in those caves.
Right. How big are those caves and he uses that pair? Yeah. Anyway,
Hey, I love Batman Begins.
yeah, yes,
Anyway, this is I think is as far as the Batman goes, a mediocre start.
yeah.
To be honest with you, I like it, but I do not love it.
No, and I was way like I said when I say like bogged down by dialogue, I'm good with dialogue too. I've read plenty of issues of other comics that have. I mean, Constantine has a ton of dialogue. You know,
Department of
Hellblazer,
Truth has an issue where it's like just words. It's like literally
right,
someone's diary, and it's like a bunch of pages
right.
of. Shout
This
out to
just
Bones who hooked me up with that.
yeah, this just seems like it was just weighed down by dialogue. You know what I
A lot
mean?
of it, and I know we got to set up these characters and his friendship with these obvious villains, which is
Right,
interesting. Um, and the allusion to the Joker there at the end. What's going
right.
on there? I'm interested to continue it, but I have to tell you that if we're just looking at the current Batmans, Batman Full Moon
I
is
was gonna say
so
Full Moon
much
is probably the
cooler.
yeah.
And I'll get those to you when I get the other
Okay,
one back.
okay,
Dude, Batman Full Moon for me is like, this is awesome.
right.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, okay, let's move over to the Superman.
Well, do we want to do since Superman's only one issue? Why we do Superman last?
Okay. Okay,
So
fine.
let's go Wonder Woman.
All right. You go ahead. You started it like you did it last night. So
Okay, all right. I actually like this a lot. The concept.
yes,
I like the fact that Themyscira is, and like I said, we're going to spoil this. So Themyscira and the Amazons are pretty much no more, and the fact that she was taken to hell by Apollo
and raised by
to be
Cersei.
raised by Cersei.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
I do like this little more brutal. I'm not a fan of the cover art, and then there's some interiors I'm kind of like, eh,
There were some alternate covers, Chris, that I got
okay,
to pick from, and that those were the ones that I well for the first issue. I only saw the one for the second issue,
right.
so it's not perfect, but it's all right.
Well, the second issue I kind of like more than the first issue.
Really, I like her on the Pegasus.
Yeah.
It's the Pegasus. He's
Oh,
dead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had it backwards. The other way around.
Okay.
The other way around.
Yeah,
I like
that's
the first one more than the second one.
my surprise opinion was going to be that Wonder Woman is my favorite of these three, like easily. It's such an interesting take on her story that is
Right.
more interesting to
Right.
me by a wide margin.
Right.
Um, she's, taken from her home and she's raised in hell, but you get to see it really adds to her character when you see her like playing with little demons and like snuggling with them in the bed and like
Like when she goes to battle after she kills the first person, smear the blood across her eyes.
yes,
Yeah.
her eyes
I,
turn red.
yeah.
It's really good.
The thing is, though, it really, even though this is a huge change, it stays a lot of her compassion and personality,
Absolutely true.
even with that kind of different backstory.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I kind of liked a little more than the other two.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely agree. Yeah. And I love that you see because it does start a quote slow.
yeah.
You see her being raised in hell, but like that stuff is really necessary, I think. And man, when you
Well, and
see
unlike Batman, it's not as dialogue heavy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That
The art does the work.
you're not reading a monologue every panel.
No,
And I think that's the one thing Absolute Batman had the problem with that I had the problem with. It was almost like an individual monologue each freaking panel.
sure. And I like that you get this abbreviated, you know, backstory for her.
Right.
It works for me. And Steve Trevor is there. I think he's kind of a doofus. Maybe they'll make him cooler in this, but I've
Right.
always kind of thought he was just kind of
Yeah.
a doofus. Whatever. But yeah, I'm really excited to read the next Wonder Woman. It
Yeah.
is so cool,
And
and I
the
love
setup for the
when
first two issues is really good for what's to
yes, it's
come. So
so strong. I love when she's like fighting the creature and she's like, be sensible. Like, do you want to
right.
die today?
And to show the
Really?
covers, here are the two covers.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
They give her this sort of godly look, this sort of creepy. She has a creepy like element, like a Galadriel type thing, where
Oh,
she could turn on a
right.
dime and
Right.
just destroy you.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough that I really think this Wonder Woman is the
And
best one.
like you said, I am surprised
Yes,
that honestly, Batman, out of the three, Batman was my least favorite.
I totally agree with you. Let's talk about the Superman, unless
Okay.
you have big things to say about Wonder Woman.
No,
Further
I
things.
mean just everything that we've talked about. I like the concept. I like the changes.
Yeah,
I don't want to permanently because I like the fact that I've always liked the fact that Wonder Woman has been this compassionate, almost motherly figure within the Justice League, within her
sure.
own comic,
I think she
that
retains
and
that.
she has and I think she retains a lot, she keeps a lot of the heart of that,
Hmm.
but just a lot more bloodthirsty.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I will say real
She's
quick.
more like a Valkyrie in this,
In some ways, I agree.
in some ways, than the Wonder Woman
I
we
will.
we know from before.
I also think the dialogue was really good.
Yeah, no, well, that's what I'm saying. Wonder Woman is probably the best moving dialogue throughout the whole two issues
I
compared to
I like when she's dealing with the military guys and she's
mhm,
trying to be polite, but she's also like,
right.
"Hey, listen,
I can fuck you all up right now.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it feels like just a great start. So I'm
right,
really looking forward to more Wonder Woman for sure. It surprises me to say, but I'm delighted by it. It's so far been my
right.
favorite Wonder Woman thing in a long time. So
Yeah,
very, very
yeah.
highly recommended. And they don't seem to connect yet at all. I don't know if they will or
No,
not. She does say something, doesn't she say something about there'll be more heroes or something?
yeah, there's something about and she almost gives that Batman line from Batman Superman.
Oh, what's the line?
We'll need
Well,
we have to build an army, of heroes.
yeah, something like that. But yeah, so there is some idea that maybe they will come together. Maybe
Right,
they're building towards a new, Absolute Justice League,
right.
which I think Absolute Justice is a
Or
cool
at least
title.
an absolute trinity.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But so okay, Superman.
Okay, now this is probably my favorite cover
It's good.
out of all three,
It's
all
really
the
good.
three.
It feels very Superman. I mean, to me, that feels like classic. Maybe a little later, like
Yeah,
90s Superman, like when he's got a little bit more hair and he's
right. The post death of Superman.
yes, that's my favorite look for Superman. Give him a
Right.
little bit more hair. Like go for
Give
the
him the
mullet. I don't
mullet.
care. Yeah, cowards, give him the mullet.
He needs the beard and the mullet.
I love it. But so I'm intrigued for sure by the new Superman.
Right.
But I think only having one issue it makes it tough. But I like the changes. I do not mind at all that they changed the meaning of the symbols because I think telling the story they're telling, it works almost just the
I can
same.
see, yeah.
It almost works just the same.
Right.
In some ways, it's more effective. It's more inclusive. You know what I mean? I like that. So basically, the symbols no longer stand for your house; they stand for your class.
Right.
And so, and I like that you see all the Krypton stuff was good. Normally in a Superman, I'm kind of like Krypton sometimes feel like a slog.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, when can we get done with this Krypton stuff? But I was actually really interested, and I like all the environmentalism stuff. I'm into
Now,
that.
now
That was
do
cool.
you remember Krypton, the show?
Krypton the show.
Yes.
Yes, but I
No,
don't remember much about it.
yeah, it was about
It was leading up to the
it was leading up to yeah,
I
it
remember
was
it.
Jor-El's dad
Hmm.
is what it was about. And this goes a little more into that in Krypton you had, the laborers and the elitists and
Hmm.
you know, so I didn't mind it too much and honestly, I get where they're going with part of the story of in Krypton.
Yeah.
It wasn't preachy,
I didn't think so.
which some stuff is.
There'd be a way to tell that story that would be,
Yes, and
for
that's
sure.
and sadly a lot of stories have been that way, especially within the last 10, 15 years.
But I mean, am I
This one
concerned about the
kind of
environment?
dodges it.
Yes.
Well,
But I understand. But I understand what you're saying because
right,
it's a comic book. It's supposed to be fun.
right.
It can give you a good message, and I agree that it
Yes,
should. But I want to have fun. I'm here
right,
for fun. I'm here
right,
for an
right,
interesting
right,
story.
right.
We don't need to
Well,
get
and
bogged down.
that's my big argument with comics, in the 80s and 90s and really early 2000s, they all had messages. It
Mhm.
just wasn't beat you over the head and preachy. And unfortunately, especially in the main two, they've really gotten into this. This didn't have that.
I agree.
I would say this did not have it.
And speaking of beating over the head, you do get some good Superman action.
Yes, and this yet again, the dialogue moved faster than what Batman does.
Hmm.
I just that's my biggest beef with Batman is it is so bogged down by dialogue, not necessarily that it just has a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I like the new suit.
I think it looks great, and I don't.
It's kind of slightly Eradicator
It totally is.
mixed with the traditional Superman. I like the AI aspect of it.
I want to talk about the fact that he's recharging. Is that what is up with that? I like that they're maybe powering him down slightly with this, or at least maybe it's that maybe the sun, does what it does, but if he wants to get a super boost or something, you
Well, I'm
know,
wondering if we will learn maybe in a future issue that the suit is actually dampening his powers.
oh, interesting.
You know what I'm
Interesting.
saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's not yeah, like
So he's not too OP.
so he's not a weapon of mass destruction whether he
Right,
wants to or
right.
not.
Because
Yeah.
honestly, there was parts in here where he got a little OP on spots,
Hmm.
and you see the IA or AI dialogue,
Yeah, warning him,
kind of
yo, buddy.
warning him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if the suit is not a power dampener, not the other way.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by it. I was a little bit I lost it a little bit when it was like, oh, he's just fighting. Are they the peacemakers?
Yeah,
Or what are they called? The
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
but that whatever that faction is.
Yeah,
I hope to see more because I do want to see Clark Kent stuff. I don't know if we're going to get that at all.
yeah,
I do want to see some Clark Kent, right? Because for me that is just as much a part of Superman.
right,
Not
right,
just him flying around and beating people up. I love it, but I want to see,
right,
him doing his double life and dealing with that. That's part of it for me.
right.
What good would Spider-Man be without Peter Parker?
Yeah,
It's the same thing. So I do hope that we get there, and I want to see him have to deal with personal struggles and all these
right.
things. I hope we get to that, and I think we will. But in the first issue, I mean, they do deliver the action. That's probably the
Right.
best way to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to complain about it yet.
Right.
I'm looking
My
forward to the next issue.
my biggest complaint character wise is Lois as some kind of special agent.
I did feel a little let down by that. I will agree with you. I don't really mind. It's like sure that she could be that, but it better be for a good reason.
Right.
And
And I mean,
and
just from
look,
the
this is their
it's issue
chance.
one, yeah.
This is their chance to play around, play around.
Right.
Just like Alfred being like a special forces guy helping out Batman, which I do like that.
Yeah.
I do like that Alfred is basically he's some kind of agent that is
A former MI6 kind
yeah.
of,
I like
yeah.
that. I like that stuff.
Which I liked. I like that in Pennyworth. That's actually an underrated show,
Hmm.
and then I liked Andy Serkis, you
He's so
know.
good. I've rewatched the Batman again. I've been using the elliptical in the basement, Chris,
Right.
and I've been watching the Batman in hunks, like 20, 30-minute hunks
Right.
as I exercise. And yeah, I love that movie. More and more it's become one of my favorite Batman
I,
movies. It really has.
I mean, I only have two issues with, and I've said it before, and we're talking about Batman stuff. Is I know you like it a lot, but I cannot stand the Riddler in
I think
the
he's good.
in the Batman,
Sure.
and
Understood.
I like Pattinson in the suit, but I do not like him out of the suit
I think he really works
in the
out of the
way
suit.
he portrays out of the suit.
But, again, it's part of his character arc. You
Now,
know.
now, mind you, I like when he's doing quote unquote recon,
Yeah, and he's wearing his hoodie and
but when he's the public face,
yeah.
I he's Edward, just not sparkly.
I'm into that. It's cool. But yeah, man, there were some lines when I was like, God, when he comes in at the end and just starts kicking the shit out of those guys on the rafters, like up at the
Right.
whatever the Madison Square Garden, Gotham
Yeah,
Square
whatever.
Garden,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I maybe got a little emotion going on. I was like, I don't know why, but I love it. I love this. He's like holy rage.
Yeah.
I love it so much. It's so good. He gets
I mean,
shotgun blasted.
I'm so upset that they have not finished even writing the second one.
It's coming. All right, calm down.
Well, so is Blade, but you know how that's gone.
Yeah.
Just give it over to the girl that created Penguin. Just give me that. At this
Penguin
point, just give it to her.
Penguin is such a wild. I can't believe it is what it is, and as good as it is, and
And
I
that's
liked it as much as I liked it.
that is probably the best, short of Shogun to me. That's probably the best show that we've gotten for the year.
I'm going to say Penguin. I think
That's what I mean.
I also
Penguin.
haven't watched a lot of shows.
No,
So
I'm saying just short is Shogun is
yeah,
probably my second best
right.
show of the year.
Yep.
But Penguin, it was just phenomenal. I
Yep.
mean, flat out phenomenal.
Yep. We loved it. So okay,
Yeah.
to wrap up with the absolutes,
Yes.
I think it's a good start. It's a rocky start in some places,
Right.
particularly Batman. I'm sorry. I know some
Yep.
people are liking it, and it is a neat. I'm totally fine with
And
you.
it's an interesting concept to go with Batman with this.
I'm totally fine with this
But
rearranging what the characters are and where they are, and all that stuff is fine with me. But I just maybe the execution of Absolute isn't perfect. And will you grab the second issue there?
yeah,
And that
the
last
second issue of Batman.
yes, that last page when Alfred says, "Do you have a car?" and he says, "You're standing in it."
Oh, that one.
Hold that up. That very last page. Why the hell would that have the bat thing on the front? It's why would it exist? How has he done this? It's like
That makes the Tumblr look awesome
it's
compared to other Batmobiles.
unbelievable.
You know
It's
what I
like an
mean?
earth. Would you call it an earth mover or what do you?
Yeah, it's like a heavy ground mover
Yeah,
or a heavy load mover,
but
like
he's
you would
fully
see at a quarry or a steel mill.
put like the bat symbol all over it and stuff. Like
Right.
that's crazy to me.
Ridiculous.
It's
Yeah.
stupid. I really
Yeah.
hated it. It made me really mad.
Yeah. And if he's supposedly broke, how the hell
Yeah,
can he afford that
that's what I
thing?
mean. How is it hidden?
And if somebody stole it, you know something that large when I grew up in Granite and
You
we
can't.
saw those things all the time with the steel mills and all.
Yes.
You know, it's like
Unbelievable.
I know.
All right. Well, let's keep with the DC
Okay.
and move over to Creature Commandos.
Okay.
I've seen the first episode.
Okay. I've seen the first two.
Um, my number one first reaction was, "Oh, it's just more Suicide Squad." That's not a bad thing,
No,
but that's if you're not sure what it is, it's just more
pretty
Suicide
much,
Squad
yeah.
with different characters.
Right.
You still have a Flag in there, Flag Senior, I guess,
Yes.
and
He does recognize Junior. There's a
yes,
scene,
it's in there. It's in the
Yep.
first episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have what is he called? Doctor Phosphorus,
Phosphorus. Yeah.
who I like. Alan Tudyk, thank you.
Yes.
You have the Bride, who I'm a big fan of.
I like her a lot.
Yeah,
She's probably my favorite character so far.
she's probably mine too. You have Abe Sapien. No, wait, what's her name?
I
What is
know
her
who
name?
I can't remember her name.
She's
But it
fine. She's a
starts with
good.
an A too, doesn't it?
I it could be. She's fine. And then we have Weasel,
Yes.
and which I get it.
Sean
He's a
Gunn.
fan favorite. But
Right.
also we have the Nazi killing robot. What's he called? Uh,
Good Lord.
how would I not remember? I just
I
watched
know.
it. He's a robot that kills Nazis.
Right.
And then, fine. You don't need anything else.
No.
So, and they're sent over to protect this princess in this foreign kingdom.
Right.
It feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. It feels like Suicide Squad. It feels like a
Right.
James Gunn thing.
Yeah.
It happens to be animated. The animation is good. I like the Frankenstein is in it.
Yes. He's way more in the second episode.
Yeah,
Just
I
to let you
understand.
know.
Yeah. David Harbour is Frankenstein, which
Right.
of course I would love to see that translate to live action. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Make David Harbour dress up in that. Put him in that. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I liked it just fine. For me, after episode one, it's something where I will probably casually watch the whole thing.
I will probably wait until if I'm not doing anything, I may throw an episode on.
Exactly.
But I will probably wait until all the episodes are out and just binge it.
Well, and they're saying this is canon, right? I mean, I think I read like this is canon to the new DCU.
Yes, because they recognized what happened with Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Already. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think some events of Peacemaker.
Yeah. I think one thing with Peacemaker was mentioned.
Yeah.
In the episode 2.
I read this in a James Gunn interview, so I haven't seen. Like I said, I've only seen the first episode, but
right.
So yeah, if you're looking to get a leg up on the new DCU, um, DC DCCU.
Right.
This is where you start. So, it's an adult animation. They're doing swears and there's
Right.
almost nudity. Um,
Go to episode 2.
oh, okay. It's
I mean,
definitely
you
not.
don't see any full frontal or anything, but
It's definitely not for the children, but it's an adult animation. It's funny.
right.
You could have it on as a like it would work on Adult Swim. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Right.
So I like it. I don't love it, but I like it.
Oh,
Um,
this is a spoiler.
I don't care. I really don't care.
I know. We get Scooby Doo apparently is canon in the DCCU
Cool.
because there is a shot of like a flashback kind of montage in the background. You cannot tell me it's not Shaggy.
No, that's great. Well, I could see the animation. Like you could see how it
It's like an upgrade in Scooby
descended
Doo
from.
animation, yeah.
Yeah, I totally could see that. That doesn't surprise me. So that's
But I
fine.
kid you not, there is Scooby Doo is DC canon.
All right. Well, I mean, he already kind of was, right? He's met Batman a bunch of times.
Right.
I used to have that on tape.
Yeah.
Scooby Doo meets Batman.
Or the Globetrotters.
And if I'm not wrong, Casey Kasem was also the voice of Robin.
Yes.
So he was Robin and Shaggy.
Right.
That's pretty weird. And they had the same voice,
Yeah.
pretty much. So yeah, I liked it. It's fine. I'll watch
It's
the rest.
yeah, I'm like I said, I'll watch it. I'm there's nothing bad about it. I mean, am I gonna say it's like the best animated movie I've seen or show? No. But
Hmm. Yeah, it's doing the job. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's fun. It's not over, it's what, 30 minutes, I think, with credits, probably
Yep.
like 25.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
and it's your Guardians of the Galaxy meet Suicide Squad
That's it. And that's what
with
it is.
only one human involved in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for legal reasons, yeah.
Right, right.
And it has that James Gunn. There's lots of needle drops in the show.
Yeah.
There's lots of music that plays. I mean, they've clearly got a budget on this thing. They've got real music in there and
Right.
good actors. Animation's good. I
Yeah.
have no complaints. Like I
No.
said, I'm not loving it. It's not going to be my thing, but I will watch the rest
Right.
just to see what happens.
Yep.
Okay, well, we got one more thing,
Yep.
and that is the Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
You want to start?
I'll let you start. I'll come in
Oh,
afterwards.
oh, okay. Well, right off the bat, obviously, we'll be doing spoilers. There's
Right.
currently 2 episodes available for that, and it is essentially Star Wars meets the Goonies. Um, I didn't really get, I didn't really get the feel anything about it until the second episode.
Hmm.
The first one, I was like, okay. I mean, like it literally is the description, and
Right.
it didn't do anything beyond that for me.
Mm-mm.
It literally is. Oh, it's like okay, it's like the Goonies. Okay, fine. But it didn't do anything that got me interested at all. I mean,
Right.
really at all. And so, but now there is an actual mystery,
Hmm.
and now there is some new, interesting new characters, and I like the spaceport thing.
There's stakes now.
There's stakes. Yeah,
I think that's the difference between episode 1 and episode 2.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I would say just in general, I give it a thumbs up. Like, if you want to watch a Star Wars thing with your family, this is that. It's
Right.
certainly better than. I like it a lot better than Acolyte. I'm sorry, Acolyte fans, but I like it a lot better than Acolyte.
That whole 5 of them.
Mm. I have some friends that liked it, and it's fine. If it was for you, I'm very glad, but it
Right.
wasn't for me.
No.
Um, it is production wise, it does look nice. It does look. I think it looks nicer than much of Mando, even.
I think it's probably the best looking Star Wars show that has been on since the creation of
Totally.
Star Wars shows.
Totally. It's funny
I
because
mean,
you see Mando now and like you can kind of feel that the way they shoot that with the screen and the digital environment. It's like
right,
you can kind of just feel the emptiness in some way.
right.
Which don't get me wrong, I love Mando, but
First two seasons, anyway.
I'm a fan. Okay, I just love Mando. But this one did feel more cinematic.
Right,
You know, some of the stuff when they're on the planet, I was like kind of feeling that
right,
CG thing, but particularly like all of episode two just felt more Star Wars
right,
and felt
right.
more like you get that droid who I
Mhm.
like pirate droid. You get tons of cool aliens to look
right,
at. You get a little fun, like you said, the stakes kind
right.
of are apparent now.
And isn't the pirate droid Nick Frost?
I would believe you, but I hadn't read. I didn't look at the
I think
credits.
that's yeah, I think that's Nick
I
Frost.
hope it is because that warms my heart. I'm such a Nick Frost fan. I really love Shaun of the Dead, Hot
Yes,
Fuzz, The World's End,
right.
Paul,
Paul, yeah.
all those. He's in Attack the Block. I love him in that.
Hmm.
I'm a huge Nick Frost fan, so
Yeah.
yeah, I would love it to be him. So now Nick Frost has been a droid and Matt Berry has been a droid. Some of my favorite oddball British guys
Right.
get to be droids in Star Wars, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Uh Jude Law and the introduction of Jude Law's character.
Well, in the first
Uh
episode
it- yeah.
or in the second episode?
Well, in both.
Yeah.
But I meant into the whole thing, his introduction into the series itself. I think that's what gave it a little more like the stakes and the gravity to it.
And well,
I
okay,
mean,
and again, we're spoiling things,
right.
but I think he's not really a Jedi. He
I,
didn't really use the Force, or it was all jangly. Like it didn't look.
uh,
You really think he's a Jedi? Because I don't know.
well, I don't think he's a Jedi, but I think he used the Force.
Oh, okay.
So
You think he's a Sith?
I don't think he's a Sith either.
Interesting.
I think he's something in between, you know.
One of those grays.
Yeah,
Okay, interesting. Or like he's a Jedi that sucks, and he
right.
could just barely do like little things.
Yeah.
I would like that. I think that would be
Yeah,
fun. He's like,
right.
I'm kind of the worst Jedi ever.
Right, right. But pirates seem to work out well.
Oh, very well.
Right.
He's a shit pirate. He's a shit Jedi.
Yeah. He's Jack Sparrow in space.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
He brings a lot of personality, I think, too. Like, and the kid, don't get me wrong, the kids are really good.
I think so too.
You know, the dialogue between them and their interaction, I think, works really well to that, like, Goonies, Voyager,
Yep.
you know, kind of feel to it.
And another thing I noticed, which was very big, it probably has the best score of any of these shows apart from Andor.
Right.
The score feels like John Williams. The score feels like Star Wars. It
Right.
really does. You even got a little bit of the Force theme
Yeah.
when the keys were floating. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
This I don't know who's doing the score, but this score is doing it for me so
Right.
far, and that goes so far.
I mean, as much as it's going to shock a bunch of people who listen to our podcast. As much as I've shit on current Star Wars, this is actually probably the best thing since season two of Mando.
Sure,
And honestly, like we were talking, I honestly think this looks better than a majority of The Mandalorian.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. That was
You
the point I
know,
was making. I mean,
yeah,
absolutely, it does look better than most of Mando.
right. So maybe this is the one good thing that Kathleen Kennedy is going to finally go out on, because since she's not leaving until she gets one good thing.
That's
Fingers
it.
crossed,
This is
this
it.
is it.
So far, so good. I
Yeah,
will say that after just the first episode, I was kind of like, I don't really care.
right,
But this second episode has me at least interested. You know, um, I do think there's a lot of potential for it to be fun.
right.
So, you
We'll
know,
see after next episode, because episode three tends to be like the turn to real shit
it
on a
becomes what
lot of
it.
these
Yeah,
episodes, a lot of these series.
sure.
So we'll see after the next one.
What day does it come out on? Is it a Wednesday show?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
Wednesday show.
Okay. And then we have Andor in what, April
It's
ish.
April or May, I can't
Okay.
remember, but and I know I liked the concept. I was born with it.
All right,
I
Bane.
just it's yeah.
What kind? Oh, you mean Andor? What are you
Yeah,
talking about? Okay.
Andor, yes.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I'm
I
looking forward to it. I want to, and I'm also looking forward to rewatching Andor, and then watching season two, and then rewatching Rogue One, and just crying my eyes out. I've heard some rumors that we're going to get Krennic back, which come on. Krennic was a character that I wanted to own the action figure before the movie even came out. Like just
yeah.
in the trailers, I'm like, this is my dude. I like him a lot. Yeah, give me that. I love that time period too of Star
I'd like
Wars.
to see Mads in season two a
You
little
think
bit.
we will?
I doubt it. They won't be that
S-
smart.
Certainly possible.
It's possible, but they won't be that smart to put him in
Well, it's a big
to
money
get
thing, is
that
what it is.
dynamic. It's Disney. They ship money in.
That's true.
I mean, especially lately, they've been
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, yeah, I think we can safely give at least the first two episodes a thumbs up and say
yeah,
it's a promising start.
right. And it gives me you know nostalgic feels to like the Ewok Adventures kind of thing.
1,000%.
So
Yes.
I mean, it'll be fun. For what it is. It's not a highbrow, you
No,
know,
it's a family show.
concept. It's a kids. It's it's probably better way to get kids into Star Wars than the sequels.
Yeah, you're
I
probably right.
mean, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do.
So
Yep, absolutely agree. Well, do you have any other things we need to cover? Because I feel that
no,
we're there. Oh,
no.
one more thing. One more thing. One
Okay,
more thing.
okay.
From the show,
Yes.
I had a couple moments of brief glee slash extreme panic when my brain broke because at that in that pirate um post what do you call
Right.
that
Outpost.
outpost,
Yep.
there were these murderous balls flying around that were killing people, and I was like, this has to be a Phantasm reference. It has to be a Phantasm reference. Somebody's a Phantasm fan.
Right.
More Phantasm in my Star Wars, please and thank you. I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's you can't do a flying killer ball and not be talking about
Right. Right.
Phantasm. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out. I see what you're up to.
Right.
All right. Anyway, that is it. I have nothing else.
Awesome. Awesome.
We will
No.
be back next year,
Right.
sometime in January. We don't have a date nailed down, but we'll be
Right.
back in January sometime, maybe mid to late. But we'll be here,
Yep.
and we have some fun things lined up. Some very interesting guests. One guest in
Yes.
particular
Yes. Can't wait.
who is doing us a major favor,
Right.
and maybe beyond. So
Right.
yeah, look forward to that. More comics. We'll have tons more comics to talk about,
Right.
and all the shows will be wrapped up. We'll talk about Nosferatu.
Yep.
Um, Boy,
Here shortly we will be on 5 day rental.
yes, that's a secret surprise, Chris.
Well,
Don't tell anyone.
I won't.
Even though I think we kind of blew it on the last episode.
We did.
Yeah, we might be there soon.
But we won't say what the topic is.
No, no, Chris, I do not want you ice skating uphill. So
I know,
stop.
right?
All right, that's it. This has been a great year. We will talk to you
Absolutely.
soon. Please join the Discord and hang out with us in
Right.
the off time. We'll be around.
Well, I was saying we will be in Discord and our social medias in our, little mini vacation. So
Yep, we do have a
jump
Blue
in there.
Sky. We have a Blue Sky
Yep.
now. Join us on Blue Sky. I got cats all over me. Oh my god. All right, all right.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
That's right. That's a good way to end it.
Right.
We'll talk to you guys next year.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Goodbye.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Mm.